Welcome in. If you are tuning into this right now, I know exactly who you are. You are someone who is just insanely curious about the world. You're looking for those brilliant aha moments, but you absolutely do not want to be bogged down by information overload.
Right.
You want the deep, profound insights distilled into something you can actually carry with you and use. Well, you are in the exact right place. Welcome to our latest deep dive.
It's great to be here.
Today we are going on a journey that explores some truly profound spiritual and philosophical concepts. We're talking about the very nature of destiny, the actual practical application of mindfulness, and the fundamental interconnectedness of absolutely everything around us.
It really is a remarkable topic, and the source material we're unpacking today carries an immense historical and spiritual weight.
Oh, absolutely.
We are going to be exploring translated excerpts from a sacred text titled The Divine Command and the Light of All Hearts. Specifically, we are looking at the writings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, found in a section called Rag Sorath, specifically pages 598 and 599.
Which is just wild to think about reading today.
It is, and it is important to state right up front that our mission today is to impartially examine the philosophical framework presented in these specific verses. We aren't here to endorse a specific theology or take sides on deeply held religious beliefs.
Right, we're just reporting on what's in the text.
Exactly. Our goal is to extract the timeless wisdom contained within these centuries-old words and decode how this text views the relationship between a seemingly preordained universe and your individual mind.
And when I was looking over the notes you sent me before we started, I noticed that term, Rag Sorath. Before we even get into the heavy philosophy, what exactly is a rag? Because to anyone who hasn't studied this, that might just sound like, well, like technical jargon.
That is a great clarifying question. In this tradition, the scripture isn't just meant to be read dryly. It's meant to be sung or experienced musically.
Okay.
A rag is essentially a musical measure or a melodic framework that sets a very specific emotional mood.
Sort of like a soundtrack.
Yeah, kind of. Rag Sorath in particular is traditionally associated with a feeling of deep motivation, a sort of gentle but firm awakening. It's an emotional stage setting that prepares the listener's mind to receive a profound truth.
Oh, I love that. So the text is already trying to bypass the analytical brain and make you feel something before you even process the words.
Precisely.
Well, that actually makes a lot of sense given where this text goes, because we're essentially taking this centuries-old manuscript and asking, how does this apply to you, the listener, in your modern everyday life? And the progression of thought here is wild.
It really scales down in a fascinating way.
It does. It starts out massive, literally cosmic scale,
Yeah.
and then zooms all the way into the quietest corner of the human mind. Okay, let's unpack this from the very beginning, because the text opens with a concept that immediately grabs your attention: destiny.
Yes, the big one.
There's a striking line here that says, destiny preordained by the Lord looms over the heads of all beings. No one is without this preordained destiny. I mean, that is an incredibly heavy opening. It paints this picture of every single living being operating underneath this massive overarching blueprint that has already been drawn up.
What's fascinating here is the immediate contrast the text establishes. It drops this enormous weight of preordained destiny on the reader, but it doesn't leave you there.
Thank goodness.
Right. It immediately introduces the exception to the rule. The very next line states, "Only he himself is beyond destiny, creating the creation by his creative power. He beholds it and causes his command to be followed."
So it sets up the rules and then shows who breaks them.
Exactly. Within just a few words, we have a complete cosmic dynamic established. You have the creation, which is bound by destiny, and you have the creator who is entirely unbound by it.
Okay.
The text describes a creator who generates this universe through creative power, actively watches over it, and ensures that the fundamental command or order of the universe is executed.
I was actually trying to wrap my head around this earlier. To help visualize it, imagine you are playing a massive open-world video game.
Okay, I like where this is going.
As a character inside that game, you are entirely bound by the code. Your destiny, the physics of your world, the edges of the map, whether you can jump or fly, all of that looms over you. You cannot escape the programming.
Right, you are stuck in the rules of the game.
But the programmer who wrote the code, they are sitting outside of that digital universe. They are entirely beyond the destiny of the game. They created it, they're watching it run on the screen, and the code they wrote causes their commands to be followed by every single character.
That's a great analogy.
The text is essentially saying that we are all operating within the code completely subject to the blueprint. But here's my question, and I'm sure anyone listening is thinking the exact same thing.
What about free will?
Yes. If everything is just preordained code, doesn't that completely strip us of our free will? Why even try to do anything good or meaningful if the script is already written? It feels a little, I don't know, nihilistic.
It is a completely natural reaction to push back against that idea. But the framework being presented here isn't about apathy or nihilism.
Okay, so what is it about?
It is actually about profound humility. Acknowledging this preordained destiny is an exercise in realizing that the ego is not the ultimate driver of the universe.
Oh, wow.
It's an acknowledgement that there are forces, commands, and a creative power vastly larger than our individual selves at work. When the text talks about destiny looming over all beings, it's setting a baseline reality. You are part of a much larger system.
Right.
You didn't choose to be born, you didn't invent the laws of physics, and you don't control the ultimate outcomes of the cosmos.
So it's less about nothing matters and more about you aren't the center of the universe, so take a breath.
Exactly. It's a release of the illusion of total control, which, ironically, is the first step toward actual freedom in this philosophical system.
That makes a lot of sense.
And the text doesn't leave the creator sitting far away outside the simulation in some distant office. This is where the perspective takes a very sharp turn.
Right, because my assumption with the programmer analogy is that the programmer goes home at the end of the day. They are separate from the game.
But the verses say something totally different. Guru Nanak points out exactly where to look for this unbound force.
The text says, he is within his way. See him outside as well. There's no one other than him. So the programmer isn't just watching the screen. The programmer's essence is literally woven into every single line of code inside and out.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of the text, this omnipresence radically changes how the individual is instructed to interact with the world.
How so?
Well, if the creator is within everything, then the external world is no longer just a backdrop, it is sacred ground. This introduces a vital concept in the text, the Gurmukh.
Gurmukh. Okay, define that for us.
Gurmukh translates roughly to one who faces the guru, or one who is oriented towards spiritual wisdom as opposed to facing their own ego.
Got it.
And the instruction given to the Gurmukh here is deeply challenging. The text says, as Gurmukh look upon all with the single eye of equality, in each and every heart the divine light is contained.
The single eye of equality. That sounds beautiful on paper. But think about how incredibly difficult that is to put into practice for you, the listener, today.
It's incredibly difficult.
We live in a world that literally runs on division. We categorize people constantly to make sense of our days by their jobs, their tax bracket, their politics.
Absolutely.
But this text is handing down a mandate. It's saying that if you truly understand that there is no one other than him, then you have to look at every single person you encounter and recognize that the exact same divine light resides in their heart as it does in yours.
It is a total dismantling of the ego's tendency to create hierarchies. Think about the implications.
They're huge.
If the creative power of the universe is equally present in all beings, then superiority and inferiority are complete illusions. The single eye of equality means seeing past the external differences, past the differing destinies we just talked about, and recognizing the shared fundamental essence.
Let's make this real for a second. Imagine you are in a high-stakes corporate boardroom. You're trying to land a deal, and the person across the table is being aggressive, unreasonable, maybe even trying to undermine you.
A very common scenario.
Right, and your natural instinct, the ego's instinct, is to view them as an enemy, an obstacle, or someone lesser than you. Or let's take a simpler example.
Sure.
You're at the grocery store, you're exhausted, and the person in front of you is arguing with the cashier over an expired coupon while the line backs up. Our brains immediately judge them. We label them as annoying, inconsiderate, separate from us.
And that is exactly the separation the text is addressing. If you apply the single eye of equality in that grocery store line or in that boardroom, your entire internal posture has to shift.
Which is so hard to do in the moment.
It is. It doesn't mean you stop advocating for yourself or that you ignore bad behavior, but it fundamentally changes your emotional reaction. You are forced to realize that the frustrated person with the coupon or the aggressive executive contains the exact same divine light that you do. They are just caught up in the illusion of their own ego. It forces a radical, almost cosmic empathy.
It rewrites the rules of engagement for human interaction entirely. But knowing you should look at everyone with a single eye of equality and actually doing it when you're stressed out and running late are two wildly different things.
Oh, definitely.
I can read this text and say, yes, cosmic empathy I'm in. But then someone cuts me off in traffic and my enlightened state vanishes in about 3 seconds. Our minds are just incredibly noisy.
The text anticipates this entirely. It recognizes that grand philosophical concepts are completely useless if the individual's mind is in chaos.
Right. You can't be empathetic if you're internally panicking.
Exactly. You cannot view the world with a single eye of equality if your internal vision is clouded by anxiety and distraction.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the text essentially shifts gears from high-level theology into a practical manual for mental discipline.
Yes.
It asks, how do we actually reach this state of peace? And it gives a direct, almost sharp command. Restrain your fickle mind and keep it steady within its own home.
That phrase, fickle mind, is timeless. It describes the human condition with absolute precision.
It really does.
The mind wanders, it worries about the future, it obsesses over the past feud, it gets caught up in the external illusions of the world.
Fickle is almost too polite a word for it today. Think about your own mind for a second. Think about how many times today you've checked your phone just out of pure habit.
Oh, too many to count.
Or how you started worrying about an email while you were trying to have dinner with your family.
Yeah.
We live in an era of weaponized distraction. Information overload is the default state of our existence. Doom scrolling at midnight, the constant ping of notifications.
It's exhausting.
It is. And here's a text from centuries ago diagnosing the exact same core problem, a wandering attention and offering a cure.
The cure, according to the text, requires incredible focus. It asserts that the ability to restrain the mind is obtained by meeting the guru. It advises the listener to day and night serve at the guru's feet, acknowledging that the Lord is both the giver and the enjoyer. Now, in a practical sense, what this means is constant dedicated focus on a wisdom outside of our own scattered thoughts. It is an active daily practice of recentering.
Well, the text uses some very specific, almost poetic language about how you nourish yourself once you recenter. It says, drinking in the ambrosial nectar, you shall attain the highest bliss and dwell within the home of your own self. Okay, ambrosial nectar. What does drinking nectar actually mean in this context? Because I'm assuming we aren't talking about literal honey here.
No, we aren't. In the original context, the concept of amrit, or ambrosial nectar, refers to the spiritual nourishment that comes from connecting with the divine truth.
I see.
Psychologically speaking, it represents the profound peace and satisfaction you feel when you finally stop seeking validation from the external world.
Oh, that is powerful.
When your fickle mind stops chasing after money status or digital dopamine and instead turns inward to the home of your own self, you experience a sweetness, a deeply fulfilling clarity. That is the nectar.
I love how the text describes the result of this, too. It said that by looking inward and seeing the unseen Lord, you shall be amazed and delighted, forgetting your pain. You shall be at peace.
Amazed and delighted.
Yes, amazed and delighted. That is such a joyful, vibrant way to describe enlightenment. Sometimes we think of mindfulness or spiritual discipline as this very stoic, emotionless, detached state, sitting silently in a cave staring at a wall. But this is saying the result is pure bliss. It's active amazement.
It describes a state known as visamad, which translates to a state of awe or wonder.
Visamad.
Yes. When the fickle mind is finally stilled and the individual actually perceives this omnipresent divine light within themselves, the result isn't a cold detachment. It is a vibrant, delightful amazement at the beauty of existence. By turning inward, you find a refuge. You find the very source of the creation residing within.
So what does this all mean? Where is this entire journey taking us? Because we've gone from being crushed by the weight of destiny to recognizing the divine in the annoying guy at the grocery store, to taming our chaotic phone-addicted minds, to finding this joyful amazement inward.
It all builds to a single point.
The text drives all of this toward one final massive goal. It says, so sing the praises of the Lord, the destroyer of the fear of birth and death, and you shall not be reincarnated again. It introduces the ultimate escape.
This raises an important question about the ultimate nature of reality as presented by the text. It mentions escaping the fear of birth and death and avoiding reincarnation. This implies breaking free from that very system of preordained destiny that was established in the very first line of our deep dive.
Wait, yeah, let's pause there. Because we started this whole conversation by establishing that nobody is without preordained destiny.
Yeah.
We are all bound by the code.
Exactly.
So how could the text suddenly promise that you can escape it?
The answer provided in the final verses is a breathtaking statement of non-duality. It is the resolution to the tension between the creator and the created.
This is the ultimate aha moment of the entire text. I got chills reading this part. The text says, The essence, the immaculate Lord, the light of all, I am he and he is me. There is no difference between us.
I am he and he is me. There is no difference between us. It is vital to pause and really absorb the magnitude of that statement.
It's massive.
We began with a model of separation, a universe of created beings moving along preordained tracks watched over by an architect, the scriptwriter, and the actors. But through the process of spiritual realization, through the guru's wisdom taming the mind and seeing the divine light in all things, that separation completely collapses.
Let's bring back our video game analogy because I think it perfectly explains this.
Yeah.
We started by saying you are the character in the game bound by the code and the programmer is outside.
Right.
But this final verse is like the character in the game suddenly waking up and realizing they aren't the pixels on the screen. They are the actual consciousness of the player holding the controller. The boundary between the screen and the person playing entirely dissolves. You realize you aren't just subjected to the code, your truest essence is the one writing it.
That is a phenomenal way to articulate non-duality. The text concludes by stating, the infinite transcendent Lord, the supreme Lord God Nanak, has met with him, the Guru. The realization is that the essence of the individual and the essence of the immaculate Lord are identical.
Wow.
If the creator is the only entity beyond destiny and the individual realizes there is no difference between themselves and the creator, then the individual in their truest essence is also beyond the cycle of birth, death, and preordained destiny. The illusion of duality, the idea that you are small, separate, and isolated from the source of the universe, is utterly shattered.
It is an absolutely beautiful synthesis. Let's do a quick recap of the journey we just took through these verses because we covered some serious ground today.
We certainly did.
We started by confronting the heavy, unavoidable weight of a preordained destiny, the realization that we don't control the universe. Then we were challenged to radically shift our perspective, to look at every single person around us, even the ones who drive us crazy, with a single eye of equality, recognizing that the exact same divine spark powers them.
The radical empathy.
Exactly. From there, we got the practical toolkit. We have to restrain our fickle, scrolling, anxious minds and bring them back to the quiet home of our own selves to find actual peace and delight. And finally, that internal quiet leads to the ultimate realization of oneness. The realization that I am he and he is me. The drop of water realizes it is and always has been part of the ocean.
The value of this text for you listening right now cannot be overstated. Even if you approach it purely as a philosophical framework rather than a theological one, it offers a profound antidote to modern chaos.
It really does.
It provides a structured, logical reason to practice radical empathy through equality. It offers a compelling argument for the daily discipline of mindfulness to cure the fickle mind we all struggle with. And ultimately, it offers a perspective of deep, unbreakable connection in a world that often feels deeply alienating. It teaches that the peace we are frantically searching for out in the external world is already residing within the home of your own self.
It truly changes how you view a simple walk down the street or a quiet moment sitting alone in your room. We have explored this incredible journey from being completely subjected to a preordained destiny to the ultimate realization that I am he and he is me, that there is no fundamental difference between the creator and the created. So as you go about the rest of your day, consider this. If the ultimate truth is that you and the architect of destiny are one and the same then, that who is actually writing the script of your life right now, are you the character playing out a preordained role, or are you secretly the author holding the pen?
A fantastic question to leave off on.
Something to chew on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you leave feeling inspired, a little more centered, and ready to look at the world with that single eye of equality. We will catch you on the next deep dive. Take care.